Super Rugby's back and we're going to get into some Super Rugby predictions. Yes, it is coming back today. Hopefully you're watching it as soon as this video comes out. Super Rugby is coming back. But first of all, if you're new to my channel, you must be thinking, who the hell is this? It's an English guy talking about Super Rugby. What does he know? Well, I know some. I've been watching Super Rugby the last 2 seasons, so I like to say I'm a supporter of the league. I enjoy watching the league. I enjoy the teams in it, and I know the teams and the players somewhat. So yeah, I'm going to try and do some predictions of what I think. How the final table is going to end up. And, I think it's lots of interesting transfers have happened. Some teams, especially the Australian ones, have definitely benefited from the Melbourne Rebels going under. So I think it's a really interesting year for the Super Rugby this year. So I can't wait to get into predictions. If you watch it and get through this painful video and you like what the sort of predictions I come up with, please drop a like and subscribe. I'm going to try and do Super Rugby predictions for every round. As well as all the other rugby news, other rugby leagues. I try and cover as much as I can. But yeah, thank you guys if you do watch the video, and let's get straight into it. Right, I'll move over right to the side just to make way for my lovely Super Rugby graphic here. And I've just literally been going over one last time my predictions for how the ladder is going to look at the end of the year, or table as we call it. And it's so hard. It is so hard to predict the Super Rugby table this season. There's so many changes and, oh man, I'm really struggling. But I've come up with an 11 team order, which I'm going to stick with now. So yeah, let's get into the first one. I'm going to start off with the bottom team, and I predict the bottom team this year to be Moana Pacifica. Yep, the team that finished 11th last year, obviously not bottom because it was a 12-team league last year. But yeah, I'm going for Moana Pacifica to finish bottom. Obviously, the big news is Ardi Sarvea is now at Moana Pacifica. He's come back he's moved over from the Hurricanes. And he is the captain, going in straight in as captain, which I think is a good decision. I know he's not been at the club for the prior 2 years, but, just all that experience, the quality he has. He's been there and played in World Cup finals, and he's a world-class player. And I'd be really excited to watch him play. I think he's going to do well as a leader, and I think everyone will respect him. That's about it really. Most of the team remains quite similar to the year before. I must also say I'm going to get some of the pronunciations wrong in this video, so I do apologise for that. But as I say, I think the biggest loss for Moana Pacifica this year is the loss of Christian Lealifano, obviously the ex-Wallabies player and now playing for Samoa. Quite an experienced player, so I think that's going to be a big loss. But they brought in a couple of exciting players, a couple of players from Europe who I know, not European, but like playing in Europe in the last few years. Patrick Pellegrini played at Coventry, so I kind of know him a little bit. And then there's the other one they got, Jackson Garden Bashab, who've been playing in the 2nd division of France, Pro D2. So there's some European experience coming in now. I know it's not the highest level, but it's a different style of rugby, which is going to help Moana Pacifica. I really do believe so, but not help them past 11th place in my predictions. I really hope, I think it'd be great for that team and the league if Moana Pacifica managed to make sort of top 8 at least. I know it's a top 6 sort of system this year, which is dreadful. But I think top 8 would be really good for Moana Pacifica. But in my opinion, they're going to be 11th this year. But I hope they prove me wrong, and I look forward to watching them. And in 10th place, I got our first New Zealand team. I've gone for the Highlanders. It is the team I know the least. I've watched the least in Super Rugby. I think just some of the games they're not put on TV at prime times as much as the others for UK viewers. So I will say I'm slightly less knowledgeable on the Highlanders, but I'm just looking at some of the players they've added, and none of the names are really standing out, and that might be my own ignorance of sort of Pacific rugby. I don't know. I don't watch the NPC. I'm not sure who's coming through and all this sort of thing. I've only been watching Super Rugby a couple of years, but none of the names are standing out to me in sort of the key transfers. So yeah, I'm going to go for 10th here, and I might be very wrong. Do let me know in the comments if you're watching this video what you think, but I'm going to put them 10th, and I'm pretty confident with that, even despite my somewhat lack of knowledge in some areas of the squad. And in ninth place, I've gone for our Australian team, our first Australian team. I have gone for the Western Force to finish ninth. I think they've made a few interesting signings. I'm just looking here, but got lots of Peach, Tizano, Matt Proctor. Obviously not Billy Proctor, but it's a Matt Proctor. Panga Amosa. I've pronounced that terribly, I know, but that's some quality there. There's some quality, and obviously the likes of I'm going to forget all the names. Like Nick White, Ben Donaldson, Curtly Beale. Yeah, there's some good players there. There's some really good players there, and I think they underperformed a little bit last year. I think they're just a team that often underperforms sometimes. And I hope they prove me wrong this year, but I feel like again they might be a bit underwhelming for what they could really potentially become. So yeah, I'm going to put the Western Force in ninth. Again, hope I'm wrong, but yeah, I'm looking forward to watching them. I do enjoy watching the Western Force, but I'm going to put them in ninth place this year, and yeah, I'm also pretty confident with that. In eighth place, I'm going to put the Fijian Drua. Who doesn't love watching the Fijian Drua? Oh, they're brilliant. The only problem is they're always on at 3:30 in the morning for us in the UK. Like, I can't watch that first game live against whoever it is, the Brumbies. But yeah, exciting team. You've got that sort of, I've ruined the names here again. Vola Vola at 9, and Ravatamanda and Caleb Muntz. So exciting squad for the Fijian Drua. Not many outs, people who've left the squad. I'm just looking here, the main ones. Oh God, Apisalme Vota, Michael Nato Carney. I'm sorry if I've absolutely ruined any names there. But yeah, I'm going to put the Drua 8th. Again, they're good. They're a very good team, but a lot of that comes from the home advantage, helping them out, the sort of specialised conditions in Fiji. I think once you're going up against some of the other squads in this Super Rugby season, they're going to fall a bit short of some of the big hitters. But yeah, excited to watch the Fijian Drua, and I've got them 8th in my predicted league for Super Rugby this year. And in 7th place, I have gone for the New South Wales Waratahs. Here we go. They've moved up all the way from 12th last year to my predicted place of 7th. And yes, I think, oh God, this is the most difficult team to predict, because I've got to say, on paper, they look like your strongest Australian squad with a starting 15 at least. That is looking pretty tasty now. They have got a bunch of Melbourne Rebels players. Let me just go through some of them. Obviously Joseph Tuali, not a Rebels player, but what a starting name that is. Obviously from the NRL, from that team, one of them, Roosters or something. Kellaway, Darby Lancaster, Rob Leota, obviously Taniela Tupou. Wow, those are some great players. They're Wallaby players. It's a strong upgrade to the squad. And they're also losing some key players like Nawani Tawasi, who's also gone the opposite way into the NRL. Dylan Peach has I think gone to the Western Force. Jed Holloway has left. Lockie Swinton, Ned Hannigan. So Isaiah Paresi, I've been watching him at Leicester this year. So those are some key players they've lost. Sorry to just zooming into the camera there. But it's a strong team though. It is a strong team. I was looking at the starting front row against whoever they're playing at the weekend, and it's Angus Bell, David Preictions, Taniela Tupou. That is a strong front row. That is a strong front row in any league against any team. So, however, I'm just saying, I just think the way I look at most sports, it doesn't matter what sport, no matter the upgrades you make to your team and the lineup you bring in, it's not. It doesn't mean more than what you've already achieved in the past. So basically, the Brumbies have come 3rd or 4th, whatever, last year. And although the Waratahs might have upgraded to past the Brumbies potentially on paper, the gelling of the squad, learning the tactics, getting used to each other, it's not going to fit straight away. And it will go quite quickly because they're Wallabies players who played with each other. But still, there's going to be no time for it to bed in, for systems to work. And whereas the Brumbies already know each other. So I think that means more. They've already achieved that 3rd place. They're going from 3rd to 3rd, the Brumbies. The Waratahs have to go from 12th to 3rd. So I'm going to say Waratahs down in 7th and just missing out on the playoffs. However, it would still be a massive upgrade from obviously 12th last year. So they had a load of injuries though last year. Loads of injuries, especially in the front row. So it's a really difficult one to predict. But I've gone with 7th place for the Waratahs. Again, they could genuinely be top four quite easily. So really hard one to predict, but I'm going to go seventh. I should have said, let me know what you think about that Waratahs prediction. I'm not sure on it, but that's where I've put them up after looking at each team. And in sixth place, just scraping into the new playoff system, I've gone for the Crusaders, the mighty Crusaders. I thought they massively underperformed last year, where they finished ninth. Definitely, they were coming back at the end of the year once they had some of their best players back. And if they can keep some of their players fit this year, I don't see why they can't make the playoffs, maybe even higher than sixth place. But I've gone for sixth. Yeah, there's a lot of exciting players there, aren't there? You've still got, Sefer Reese, despite the controversy, Will Jordan, Blackadder, Scott Barrett, lots of other talent littered throughout the team. So I think they're going to bounce back from their disappointing season last year in Super Rugby. But I feel like they've lost a bit of momentum from 2 years ago when they won the trophy, and even then they didn't finish top. So, I'm going to say sixth. They're not going to quite bounce back into your top three sort of level yet, but they're going to have a better season than last year. I've got them in sixth place. And in fifth place, I've gone for the Queensland Reds. I have a soft spot for Queensland Reds. They're probably my favourite team in Super Rugby, definitely Australian rugby. I think the Reds will come fifth. Really enjoyed watching them last year under Les Kiss. I actually thought they kind of underperformed a little bit. They kind of got stuck in that no man's land in the table between the top 4 or 5 teams and then the race for eighth. They were rudely cut off there by my camera having no more storage. But anyway, going back to the Reds, last 4 or 5 games of the season really didn't matter for them too much last year. They were kind of guaranteed sort of fifth spot either way, or at least in the playoffs. So I've gone for the Queensland Reds again to finish fifth, already sixth last year. They're fifth this year in my predictions, and I feel like pretty confident with that. I feel like they're a quite a steady team in that sort of middle pack area. So again, I hope they get into the top 4 even and really challenge the big boys in New Zealand. But I just feel like they're going to come fifth again. And then moving into fourth, I've gone for another Australian team. I've gone for the Brumbies. I think last year they finished third, but I'm going to drop them down a bit this year because mostly because the other Australian teams have got harder to beat. So I think that might peg them down a little bit. The Brumbies had quite a steady squad. They haven't really had too many incomings or outgoings and not really picked up many of the Melbourne Rebel players who obviously after they folded last year. So I think pretty steady. I mean, they have lost a couple of key players, like Darcy Swain, obviously has gone to the Western Force. And then Tamaiti Tua, I've been watching him at Exeter. He's been pretty good this year. A couple of losses there and, a few more. But overall, a pretty steady squad at the Brumbies. So, I'm going to stick them in fourth. And I think they'll, as they kind of have been the last couple of seasons, near and about the next best after the best New Zealand teams, I think. And into third place, I have predicted... Oh, God, it's difficult. I've gone for the Chiefs. They still have a good squad, as good a squad as last year. I thought it actually underperformed last year because obviously 2 years ago they finished top of the table and I thought they'd do it again last year. I thought they looked really good on paper. But they just dropped off a bit and... I think they finished fourth in the end, slightly below the Brumbies. This year I'm predicting them slightly above them, but still below the other 2 teams. I'm going to go for the Chiefs in third place, in my opinion. Into second place, I'm predicting the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes in second place. Obviously, they finished top of the table last season, knocked out in the semi-finals at home against the Chiefs. So disappointing from them in the end. But this year I'm going to go and put them second. Just looking at the people they brought in and out. I mean, they've lost Rayasi, Morby, Ali Save, of course, a big loss. But I'm going to stick with second place. I don't think they're going to drop too much further than that. I think the most I can see them coming down is fifth. But I just think they're going to finish second. I'm not overly impressed with any of the people they brought in. Again, it could be my own ignorance of not sort of knowing the Super Rugby. Well, just the rugby scene in the Pacific quite as well, and what goes on in the NPC. I'm gonna put them second. A fairly stable squad. And of course that means I'm going for the Blues at number 1. It might be boring because they're last year's winners, but they didn't finish top last year, and neither did I predict them to finish top. I'm gonna have the Blues at first. they came in really nice last year, and I've just been looking. I might be skewed by some of the lineups in this first weekend because people are resting some people, but the Blues squad looking pretty sharp. It's looking full of quality. You know, and that's with players to come back. Like I can see Satutu's out, and what's the guy's name? What's his name? Zahn Sullivan, that's what I was thinking of. So Satutu and Sullivan out, Darry sadly out for the whole season, and it still looks like a really strong team. Obviously, Bowden Barrett's back from Japan. Bowden Barrett, he's returned for a Super Rugby season with the Blues. So yeah, I think that's a really exciting team. Again, it might be boring, but I'm going to predict them to go top of the table in the regular season. So yeah, that's my prediction for the Super Rugby regular season. But that's not over, because there is, of course, a playoff system, and 6 teams in the playoff system this year for Super Rugby. It's a very complicated and, just let's admit it, shit playoff system. But I'm going to try and predict a winner. I think the Crusaders might, still use some of that experience and finish maybe in the final, definitely maybe semi-final. I'd like an Aussie team, maybe the Brumbies, maybe the Reds will make the final. I do think we're due an Aussie team to make the final. Obviously, the strengthening of the Aussie teams this year and the Lions coming up, I feel like we're due an Australian sort of, I don't know, wonder story, a darling team, if you know what I mean. So I think maybe the Reds or the Brumbies make the final, but I am going to be, again, very boring. I think the Blues are going to win the Super Rugby. I think they're going to win the final. I think the final is going to be at Eden Park. I think the Chiefs could challenge. I think the Chiefs are the best challenger. I know I put them third below the Hurricanes, but I think the Hurricanes are lacking a bit of experience. Obviously, Geordie Barrett, I forgot to mention him, by the way. He's left the Hurricanes this season on a short-term loan. It didn't come off my transfer, so I just didn't mention it, but I just thought who they've lost. Obviously, TJ Perinara has also left, so I feel like still got quality players like Roy Gard at Canes and Peter Lakai coming through, and lots of others. Tyrell Lomax. There is quality and some experience in the team, but I think the Blues have a bit more. Likewise with the Chiefs, I feel like they've lost a few players. Sam Kane's moved on. I mean, was he there last year? I can't remember now. But I think the Blues will get it done. They were kind of underdogs to win it this year until the final when it was at Eden Park, but they weren't it was expected to be the final at Wellington. This year I feel like they're going to be more favourites from the start, and they're my pick for the winners. I'd like to see an Australian team win it personally, particularly the Reds. I'd like to see the Reds win, but I think it would be great for rugby if the Waratahs also won, or any Australian team. It would also be great for New Zealand rugby if a team that isn't the Crusaders won. And I think we could. But again, I'd like to see Crusaders Renaissance. I know it's only been a year, but I'd like to see them up there. So I'm really happy with whoever wins, but I'm going to predict the Blues. But if you've managed to get through this far of my rambling from a person from across the globe, I thank you for doing that. And drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more. I'm trying to do more Super Rugby content. Thanks for watching if you got this far, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, people.